This is the F1000 podcast for the Japanese Grand Prix. We talk a lot about Red Bull starting 1-2. Are they going to finish 1-2? We talk a lot about the McLarens versus the Ferraris. Have Mercedes found a little bit of pace in the cool weather? We're here to bet $1,000 on tomorrow's Grand Prix. Let's go. Okay, Mike, the Japanese Grand Prix. Wow.
Yeah, this is
how we feeling.
This is gonna be. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. I really do.
I mean, this is what we're here for. This is the fun part. I'd say Fernando Alonso kind of threw a wrench into all of my expectations this weekend.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Not just Alonso, I think, but I look at the performance over the weekend so far, and I think it's going to be a really great race behind Red Bull, which is cool. Like that obviously makes these types of events really entertaining. And B, you've got probably three teams plus Alonso that are fighting for top six spots, really, ultimately in the end.
Three
and
teams
that's different.
Plus Alonso. Yeah,
right. Like that's fundamentally different than what we've seen over the course of the first couple of races this year.
Let me stop you there.
There seems,
who are the three?
Well, I think ultimately it's. What do you mean? It's the three teams. It's McLaren, Mercedes, Ferrari, and then Alonso seem to be battling.
Oh, sorry. Behind Red Bull. Okay, right.
Behind Red Bull. I
was wondering if you were including Mercedes or Ferrari in there.
No, it's going to be. I think we especially after qualifying and having Checo get clear of that pack. Like if he was in there mixed up with everybody, then things could get a little interesting on the podium. But I think with him and Max 1-2, unless we can find some real value on them.
Well, and it's less than a tenth between them. Like kudos to Checo. This isn't a track
really
that really should suit him.
No.
It's not a rear limitation. No. It's more flowy. He likes stop and start. Good for him.
Something about the upgrades they brought, maybe. Just dialing some of the pointiness out of the car, making it a bit more difficult for Max, and maybe he feels a bit more comfortable with the rear stability. So,
and that's a great thing to note at the top of the show. This is the first weekend where we're seeing a lot of teams brought upgrades, and I think that's the crux of, for example, an Alonso who is randomly, pushing the top row in some of the qualifying sessions. They got new shit on the car. So this is as much a testing session for us to see, A, what are the upgrades, but B, do they work? Because in the past, they haven't really worked for Aston Martin. So I don't know.
Well, they have the floor.
In the pecking order?
Yeah, they got a new floor on the Aston Martin. I think they brought some other bits and components too, but I think the big thing is the floor.
They brought some bodywork.
Lots of bodywork. And Alonso was saying in a lot of his post-session interviews that they've gotten more performance out of it than they expected. But that's relative to the times that are being put up by the field, which it's been weird. Like the sessions have been weird. The timing coming out has been weird. And I'm going to say this right off the hop, and I don't know how difficult it's going to be for us to go through it all. But because of how tight it looks like the order is at the front behind Red Bull, this is going to be a tire strategy race, man, which kind of is cool. Some people hate that. I don't mind it. I don't mind it. I like it. And I think it's going to boil down to who has prepared themselves the best and who ends up choosing the right strategy tomorrow. Because at a circuit where it's not an easy circuit to pass on, right? It's not like it's way up there in overtakes. But if you're going to start to see these really big tire deltas because of different strategies, then you're going to see a lot of passing, I think.
Do we know if it's a one-stop or a two-stop? Did you pick up on that? I did not catch it.
I don't think that there is enough for a two-stop. Like, I think the DAG is still too high.
It was two last year.
A one-stop, sorry, I take it back, sorry. No, it's going to be a two-stop, it looks like. That's what I was reading. I don't think that there's anybody out there who thinks it's going to be a one-stop. I know that there was some talk.
I mean, Max could be.
Yeah. I guess he could. I mean, he could. If he wanted to, he could make it a one-stop. He could. Maybe they do. I don't know. Like that, they could do that. They actually don't have two sets of hards though, which is weird. So Red Bull has already, last year they went medium hard. Max went medium hard. They could be planning to do the exact same thing this year. But the changing of the date in the calendar means that the track temperature is cooler. And I think because of that, teams have been re-looking and exploring at different options from a strategy perspective. And it's brought the soft into play. I mean, Pirelli's been saying all week that the soft is an option. We saw in FP3 when they actually got some long runs that Lewis was on it. And it was decent. Like I think he went like 10 laps or 11 laps. So a tire that normally wouldn't work at this track, all of a sudden you can use and becomes a factor in what normally was just a choice between the hards and the mediums.
That's interesting. It's so rare. I can't think of a time where all three compounds are part of the strategy.
It doesn't normally happen that way. And the weirdest thing, so the comments that I was just reading from Andrea Stella, who, like, of all the guys, when they talk and you listen to what they say, I think I trust his feedback the most. I think, like, everybody's pretty transparent in this sport, which is great. We talk
I
about that all
love
the
it.
time,
Yeah.
right? It's awesome. But Stella is just, he's very forthright, and he's also optimistic. He's There's a correlation between his optimism and his pessimism and their actual performance, right? So I think, like,
Okay. Right.
I feel like I can trust what he says, and he's optimistic about McLaren. He thinks that having two sets of hards, so Mercedes and McLaren kept two sets of hards, so they might be going soft, hard, medium, hard, right? That's maybe a more traditional way to run the race with the medium, hard. He still thinks that the deg on the medium tire is too high. Now that's
Interesting.
for him, right? That doesn't, like, if Red Bull's doing something with the mediums, I don't think you can really,
Red Bull's irrelevant
you
with the
can't.
tires. Like literally,
Yeah,
Max could probably do a
it
full
is
race distance on the soft. Like he's just
100%.
yeah,
Yeah, so it doesn't
zero
really matter.
tire deck.
But the Ferraris are out there in a bit of a different position than we're used to seeing them this year in terms of qualifying. I think it's 4 and 8, right?
4 and 8, which the
Yeah.
numbers are different. I mean, I'm getting pretty used to seeing signs ahead of Leclerc.
Here we go. I saw Leclerc at plus 200 in the. I just quickly look at the race match bet. I'm like, oh, we're going to talk about that.
No,
Plus
because
200.
you've lost the qualifying. Leclerc's whole thing is he has to start ahead, and
No,
then
it's fine.
then he has
His
the
comments
team
here.
inventing things to
Nah,
try to get him to win in
no.
Silverstone.
Hey, I actually like the fact that he's going to start further back. Maybe they put him on a different strategy to Carlos. I think he's better around this track traditionally than Carlos is anyway. We can talk about it. We'll get
I
into
mean,
that.
he's better than yeah. Well, should we get into where do you want to start? Do we start with want to start
I
with
don't even
teams?
know. What do we
Let's start
start
with
with
team
teams?
matchups.
Let's see what the book says. Yeah.
I think it
Yeah,
helps
let's
set the
understand.
foundation. We like to go team versus team. They're so split
I
up,
agree.
which makes it hard.
It does.
So, I mean, let's just go in order here. McLaren, I took a peek. They're all, I mean, Red Bull, of course, but most of the matchups you look at are very close. So,
Okay. Right away.
McLaren, Ferrari, 150,
Yeah.
Ferrari's plus money. Lando starts
Okay.
third, Sainz starts fourth. Really, what it comes down, Oscar has a couple places, 6 over 8th. But really, this is a
Yes,
bet
okay.
of does Lando or
3v4.
Carlos finish on the podium?
Okay.
I'm not
So
sure I'd want to pick between them
right away, I do like the McLaren bet. Right.
at minus
I do
150.
like it. Yeah, it's hard. So this is the other complicating factor here is the long run data that came out of FP3. I kind of mentioned this before. So let me try to remember. So it was odd in that McLaren didn't do long runs. Okay, so
Right.
they
Okay.
didn't really put like a 10 to 15 lap stint out there where you can extract like an average lap time. But Stella's been saying this whole time that they feel really confident in the car. Lando and Oscar have been saying, this is kind of what we expected. This is a track that we went well at last year.
Right.
Um, Max had like weird lap times because he had a bunch of understeer in his car.
Mm-hmm.
And so take that away. Checo, and I think I wrote this down. So like Checo, Leclerc, they were close on mediums, right? So they were running their mediums. I think they were like within maybe 4/10 of each other on average lap time on the mediums.
Mm-hmm.
And then oddly, you've got Lewis who did a bunch of, I think he did 10 laps, like I said before, on the softs, proving that you could actually use them out there. And he was ahead of Leclerc and Perez on average lap time. Then ahead of him on the hards is Alonso in average lap time over like 14 laps or something like that.
Okay.
And then the quickest of all is George on mediums. Now it's hard to say because so you look at that and you go, okay, well that's pretty promising average lap time over long runs for the Mercedes, which I think again is a reflection of the fact that they're dragging themselves into this conversation, whether or not the track temperature heats up too much to render them. I actually don't think that's the case though. I think they're going to be in this fight, to be completely honest.
You think so? Well,
I
because the
do.
track's
I
not
really do.
it's not going to heat up 10 degrees.
No, I had 18 degrees. I had 18 degrees as the race time temp. I don't know if that's what it's going to be ultimately in the end, but
Do you know how that
18
compares to the
degrees.
qualifying? What was qualifying
I
temp?
think it's relatively similar. That's my understanding. I think it's going to be like the window of temperature that we're dealing with has been like 14 to maybe it's going up to like maximums of 20.
Okay.
So I would say unless there's a massive spike in temperature, which I think James Allison had said this week, they're admitting is a problem for the car. It puts them in a different window.
Yeah.
Then I would say that based on this data and the one lap pace that we saw in qualifying, like they're a factor theoretically.
A factor against who? Not
Well,
Red Bull.
that's the question. I'd say a factor against the rest of the field because
I
it
don't.
depends on the strategy that they deploy too, though.
Is Lewis realistically a factor from 7th to get Norris or Sainz out of 3 and 4?
I don't know. I guess that's the. I wouldn't say no though. I guess that's my point.
He's got to
So
get
they have
past
two.
Piastri.
Yeah. Well, okay. Let's look. You're looking at
I'm just
the.
thinking. Well, I'm thinking of I'm
Yeah.
trying to set a pecking order. Like we both agree. I mean, should we just look flip around in the book? But let's just look at what a Red Bull 1-2 is. Like, do we both?
Yeah.
We both agree
Yeah.
this is a Red Bull 1-2.
Yeah. I don't necessarily think love that, but I would if there's value there, then
Well,
let's
yeah,
take a look. I mean,
but you love the fact that that's going to happen. Let's see if we love the
I do
value.
love the fact that it's going to happen. Sorry, I take it back. Minus
Well,
125.
in
Okay.
any order, minus 125. That's actually
That's not bad.
decent
We have
value.
to we'd have to probably look at that.
Now, this makes no sense to you're better off to just do a straight forecast, right?
100%.
Because this doesn't protect around Max coming out of the race. You still need him in that. So straight forecast. It's probably the same. But you get plus money. Crazy. They give you a little bit of value just in case Checo beats Max. Not Max crashes. That's still a 1-2, the other one.
Because you still lose if he crashes. So you obviously go straight.
Because
Okay,
Checo
mark that
never
down.
beats Max.
Plus 120.
Dude, like,
What in the world?
okay,
What?
so already, let's maybe not overthink this. We have a Red Bull 1-2 when they start 1-2 at plus money.
So, okay, again, like you have to figure out why would the book be giving you favorable numbers like this? And I think the reason for that is because, I mean, last year, over the entire course of like the practice sessions and qualifying, Max had like 8 tenths on the field or something like that.
Right,
It was
okay.
crazy,
Yeah.
right? So, and he didn't have that this time, right? So and I
Checo's
think that he didn't. Yeah, he didn't have it because they brought upgrades. They probably have to tweak the car quite a bit. I just mentioned it before, right? I think look, there was a bit of understeer that he was dealing with. So
Well, that's a good point. With something new on the car, does that gap then get a little bit tighter between Checo and Max? Dude, the reality is Checo's never been higher than P4 here. So even in last year's race, it was Max and then both McLarens.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. So
we've never had Checo as a factor here.
No,
I like him. He doesn't have to come through the field.
No, I know.
Now, we're definitely going to have to find a fade on him because if we're saying he keeps it clean in turn 1 and we're putting money on that, he's definitely going to crash in turn 1.
100%. I agree with that too. So I don't like. Oh man,
I like. I'm going to jot this down. Plus money on a Red Bull 1-2 when they start.
We have to mark that down. That's kind of crazy,
we have to.
Right? Yeah. This is, I think, again, an overreaction by the book to some of the times that came out of practice sessions, which I think are, I mean, they're practice sessions. They're being used to calibrate the car for the race, ultimately, for qualifying in the race.
With
qualifying
upgrades.
goes as well as it could for Red Bull. That actually doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
It was basically a testing session without the aero rakes. Like everyone brought upgrades. Everyone was testing. And by the way, the representative session, you love the practice timing more than I do. You like to rely on them. But the reality is it's FP2 is always the representative session. No one ran an FP2. They were the track's a little wet. I'm not even going to.
No, but they did in 3 though. I guess the point is they did the long runs in 3. I think this is where, for whatever reason, the book is overvaluing. So in FP3, when you look at Perez on the mediums, so his average lap time on the mediums is slower than Ferrari, it's slower than both of the Mercedes, and it's slower than Alonso. What you don't know engine mode, you don't know fuel level, right? And so they sandbag all the time. Red Bull does on those long runs anyway. So you can't read too much into that. And Max didn't even really have representative times because he was complaining about this understeer issue. Obviously that's been dealt with because he went out there and put it on pole.
Right.
So it's not a problem for him. And they're probably going to continue to tweak the car. They're the best at it. Well, right? They bring something new.
If the car has understeer, doesn't that kind of suit Checo?
It does, which is great. I think that's kind of like this. Maybe we're in this sweet spot where there's a bit of balance. The car isn't developing away from Checo just yet.
It's
It
less than
brings
a
some
tenth
understeer
between
back
them.
in. I know Max still, but he's not going to beat him in the end. And then they can
No.
run their they can run their medium hard. They obviously seem, I think Red Bull from all the teams, it doesn't seem like they have any idea. Well, we don't know what the strategy is going to be. They probably have an idea, but it looks like Red Bull is going to just do what they did last year, which is the medium hard.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So
This might come back to bite me, but I think we should stop talking stop talking about it. We have plus money on a Red Bull 1-2 when they start 1-2. And there's zero chance that they ever flip order. Like,
no, just mark it down. We're I
yeah.
don't how we like. I mean, again, and what if they come out of the race? Then okay. I mean, whatever.
And it is a race where we started the show talking about it. You go McLaren, Ferrari, Aston, McLaren, Mercedes, Ferrari. Like, it's so mixed up behind that. Let's get a bet on those top two to just be there at the top two.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm still on the teams. I came back to the teams because let's talk about the pecking order behind it. So you
Yeah.
liked McLaren over Ferrari. I am tempted to agree with you. However, it's not 50-50. It's not a coin toss, but it's Lando against Carlos. I don't know. They start right beside each other.
Yeah.
I wouldn't love having to sweat this out with Carlos just getting him in turn one and then he settles in and McLaren might have the pace, but now we're fighting for something. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, it might not be worth the one minus 150. So, but I like in that battle with Lando having track position and what I think is an ideal a position on tires, right? So if they want to
Yeah.
go medium hard or soft, like they could be considering running soft hard, which is possible. Like this is how confident are you in Ferrari? They look way better, obviously, from a DEG perspective, but how confident are
Yeah.
you that Ferrari's made the right choice by keeping the one set of hard and having the extra mediums, right? So they got to go soft, hard, medium, or sorry, soft, medium, hard, like in any order, whatever they want to do,
Uh-huh.
or they have to try to do the Red Bull medium, hard. Whereas it looks like
Do they have two
Mercedes,
new mediums?
I think they have two. I think they have two new mediums. Yeah, that's my understanding.
Is there a Twitter
Yeah, they
account
do.
that just shows tire allocation remaining?
Well,
What a Twitter
the
account
problem,
that would be.
yeah, I know. Albert has it after FP2, and I can't.
And then you got to track what
These
they
guys
used during
ran,
qualifying.
yeah.
Well,
Well, they use
FP2,
softs during
everyone
qualifying.
had
Yeah,
all their tires. They used a couple
yeah.
sets of inters.
This is the problem, right? So I don't know. I don't know. I don't. Let me
To
see if I
answer
can
your
find.
question, I am not confident in any strategy decision that Ferrari makes. However,
No,
they're earning a little bit of confidence. Fred
they
Vasseur,
are.
it's
Yeah,
a different ship at Ferrari now. They've got a new
100%. Yeah.
captain. I mean, okay, so I do think McLaren wins this matchup. Minus 150 is not the worst line.
No.
If we struggle to find something, but I wouldn't automatically put this on the way that I love the Red Bull 1-2.
Yeah. So I would write it down, but star star the Red Bull. I think. I mean, we have to not star the Red Bull. Like underline it and triple circle it or something. Obviously, we're not gonna. We got to take that. I think we have to take that. Obviously, right? So
We never do
yeah.
this? Lock it in now before it changes? No,
No,
it's
no,
been a
no.
few
Let's just
hours after
no.
qualifying. I
That's
think
fine. Let's
the lines are
yeah.
probably what they are for
Yeah.
our show.
They're a little bit harder right now. I don't think they're
Um,
that soft.
there's no McLaren versus Mercedes.
And so
Probably rightly so.
minus 175 for the Mercedes to race
Alonso.
I, Alonso is interesting too, right? Like just that's a 2v1. Something
Yeah,
happens to Alonso. He comes out of the race. You get that at minus 175. I will, again, I'll
I
say
don't
this
think he's
again.
coming out of the race.
I don't think he's coming out of the race, but so he was quite contrite in saying, for whatever reason, it seems like the Aston Martin is more balanced for qualifying. I guess that's just something that's happened over the course of the summer and development. And he was quoting that coming out of qualifying, was saying, hey, normally we're looking behind on Sunday,
Hmm.
right? So that, and I think he's being honest when he says that. And Mercedes truthfully was showing some significant improvement,
Hmm.
right?
Can I?
Lewis had the ability to be fourth on the grid in terms of his quality pace. So he like that. They have genuine pace here this weekend. And again, whether or not that just disappears overnight, which is completely possible,
Yeah,
you have two bullets versus the one.
you do. You do. George is fairly far back,
Yeah,
ninth to fifth. Can I tell you my concerns, and then you can call me a baby scaredy pants?
it's okay. Yeah, what is it?
Alonso has upgrades on the car, right?
Mhm.
Like big upgrades,
Yeah.
and then he randomly is like putting it front row provisionally, like that felt random to me. Mercedes feels random because of the weather. So I've got one team where we're learning what they've just put on the car. Is it real? Is it just a qualifying spec? How's it going to look through a full race distance? Then we've got Mercedes, who's only here. They might have missed Q. They might have not made it to Q3 without this weather. So it's a bunch of unknowns that are putting them here. I'd maybe like to see one race play out with the new Aston Martin upgrades, because I could very easily see Alonso maybe even pushing ahead and going, wow, you guys, you crush it in the factory. These upgrades are amazing. We're a new team than we were last year. And I could see Lewis Hamilton just on the radio, like, what's going on?
Yeah. I'm not like, I can already, you're right. I
Do you know what I'm
can
saying?
prognosticate the radio calls. I agree with you 100%.
And then
So
we're sitting
I
there,
don't want to get,
we're
yeah,
pushing Lewis along while he complains and he's saying, guys, let's just save the engine. And we're like, no, Lewis,
we've
go
been
get
there.
Alonso.
Yeah. We've been there so many times that it's like, it's
Right.
hard to.
Maybe it's the radio calls. But the biggest factor is this is a new Aston Martin. It's not, we can't just rely on Aston Martin's fifth fastest team, because that's what we've seen. They brought upgrades. And then the biggest disconnect is Stroll's down in P16. Like, okay, so is it just Alonso? Is it the upgrades?
Well, yeah.
I would have loved to see both cars
I think that's my point,
show us what it actually is. So there's just a lot of unknown for picking on those two teams right now.
So this is, I'll leave it at this. We can, I would like to just write it down so we can, if we want to go back to it, we can go back to it. But my point is summarized by this. He says, this is Alonso after qualifying. If I get overtaken by Oscar in the two Mercedes or something like that, I guess that is like, he says, I guess this is normal. That's what he says.
Does he say the two Mercedes? Because when you said he's looking backwards, I was like, well, of course, he's got Oscar there, so he's going to get past.
If I get overtaken by Oscar and the
his
two
whole
Mercedes,
race is defend the Mercedes.
100%. That's
like,
it. That's what he's saying.
Right. But that's his. He needs something. He's not saying I'm going to let the Mercedes pass, and my whole goal is to hold off Yuki and keep on points. No. I think his mentality is Oscar will go, Leclerc probably goes, but I'm going to defend like a lion to keep those Mercedes behind me, because that's the matchup in the championship is Mercedes versus Aston.
I agree. Now you get into this. Alonso doesn't have two sets of hearts. So like if Mercedes is on the right strategy, which wouldn't be impossible, they have the two hearts and McLaren has the two hearts.
Let me poke a hole. I don't think the strategy is two hearts. Any strategy that uses a heart is hard with two mediums. Nobody's choosing two hearts.
So no. Well, I think teams are doing it on purpose though. Like that McLaren and Mercedes have made a conscious effort to keep the hards because they're worried about the medium deg. And this goes back to my point that Stella made. And I'm saying, like, I trust what Andrea Stella says. He's saying, the deg, okay, obviously, like, so the delta between the medium and the hard is like, it was very small. Like, it was like, what was it? Pirelli put something out.
What's the pace difference?
Yeah, it was like really like a small difference between the expected pace between the two tires. I gotta find it. I thought I saw it was like literally like a tenth or something like that.
You know what they should start
doing?
Which
is crazy, man.
Stop bringing C2, 3, and 4, or this week's 3, 4, and 5. Bring C1, C3, and C5. Make a big difference between the compounds.
I agree. That's hilarious.
I'm a huge proponent of Pirelli should force races into a two-stop. Have all three compounds be relevant in the race, but make them fall off. Make it a two-stop. That's where racing comes into play. Traffic. Okay. Well, I jotted it down on the Mercedes.
It goes back to, well, just keep this in mind though. It goes back to this point that he's making, that Stella's making, which I trust, that the deg that they're seeing on the medium is worryingly high. So he's saying that doesn't mean like that's for him in the McLaren, which is a good car on tire management. Is good.
Depending on where we peg
on
where we peg the Ferrari, they might be I might feel the second best about them managing tires.
Well, so the Ferrari seems like they've made. Well, I'm saying the Ferrari seems like they've made their decision, and they're going to try to run the two mediums. That Stella is saying we were seeing worrying levels of degradation on it. So that doesn't mean that that's going to happen for Ferrari, but both Mercedes and McLaren seem committed to this concept of either medium hard, or I think they're doing soft hard. To be honest, I think that's their plan. Ultimately, in the end.
When you say that Mercedes or Ferrari's going with two mediums, that like they are definitely wrong.
So that it appears if they don't have a set of hards, which they have one set of hards, that's evident. They have one set of hards. So if they have to run either two softs and a medium, they're not running two softs and a medium. They don't have enough. You don't get enough laps out of it. Like this is where you take the information that you have at hand and try to extract the value. Let's keep going because I think that there's going to be plus money here somewhere where we go, okay, that's the way to maximize. These are safer picks, like McLaren over Ferrari, Mercedes over Aston Martin. Those are the two. What I like about those bet chops is that it's two cars and what we think might be the ideal tire. Well, maybe not the ideal tire strategy, but at least a strategy that we know works. We know that works. We know having two sets of mediums or two sets of hards on this track typically is the right choice. Now, it's not, they don't have a lot of data from, it's never been in April, right? Like it's different, obviously. No. The thermal deg is way lower, theoretically, but that doesn't mean that you can all of a sudden run the mediums the way that the Red Bulls run the mediums.
I agree with you. I'm keeping them both. My gut, I do like the McLaren over Ferrari a lot more than the Merc over Aston, which feels weird because it's a shorter line. It does feel weird. Yeah. Or long. Long. You know me. If you've been following along for 2 years, I don't know what's short and what's long.
Long, you don't know.
I don't know. I don't think I see anything else on the teams. Red Bull, I mean, minus 1,200. Let's bet $1,200 to win 100.
Not
Sauber, Alpine, even odds.
Alpine.
Now my gut is love the Sauber, Sauber, but then how much time are they going to spend in the pit stop?
Yeah, love it.
Love it. Is the bet voided if they spend more than 30 seconds in the pit lane? Like
that's the craziest. Somebody making that bet is insane. Well, you'd have to take the Alpine, literally. I don't think you can't bet on the Sauber. You can't.
Bottas starts in 13th.
I know. And he looked quick.
Yeah. Ugh.
Oh,
okay. Yeah, I don't want. I don't like
Visa versus Haas is like it's going to be. Tsunoda's going to
look at Visa. Yeah, minus 600.
Yeah, Haas.
And you like Visa
track for Haas.
You like the RB. Yeah, this track doesn't suit the Haas.
No, it's just it's way too high speed.
But you're Mr. Haas.
I usually am, but I know that they have limitations. Like it's not. Man, let's keep in mind, like these are the same limitations. This is why the Ferrari. People are very high on Ferrari, and they should be because
they won the race last week. That's what we expected.
Yeah, and there was a lot of things that were advantaging them in that situation. Max coming out, driving around with his brake on is one.
Yeah.
But they had the graining taking place, which we know from Singapore is something that advantages the Ferrari too. This is not that. This is the inverse of that.
This
is the inverse situation.
Yep.
Totally deg. It's thermal deg versus the graining versus the wear. And this is a track with high speed that the Ferrari over this entire rule set has struggled with.
Yes.
So it's not like they've obviously made the car way better, but it's not like those inherent baked in characteristics have just been eliminated.
No.
There's probably going to be a bit of issue with thermal deg, and there's probably going to be a bit of issue with the high speed. That's why I like that McLaren bet. But let's keep going because I think there's actually better. We're going to find better value.
Yeah. Do you have somewhere? I was going to go to the driver match just to see what's there, but
let's see what they have. That's a good way to calibrate too.
Because sometimes they go separate teams on us.
Yeah,
usually it's just teammates against each other. Yeah, we'll go group. Let's go groups after this.
Let's go group after that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't think the teammates are so spread out.
Plus 200 is like, dude. Okay, hold on. Where was my note?
You want to look at Leclerc plus 200 over Sainz?
Yeah. I don't think I'll ever be able to.
You're not going to convince
me to do it.
No, you won't.
Yeah. No,
I'm already telling you, you're not going to convince me. If they were 3-4, you'd have a hard time convincing me.
Yeah, you're gonna. It's Leclerc, a waste. That'd be a good bet. I would take it.
It's not a good bet.
It is a good bet.
It's not.
Yeah, he just
if Leclerc doesn't start out. When do you see Leclerc come through the field? We see Sainz come through the field.
What do you mean? Like
Leclerc's going to be he's going to be spinning around and he's going to finish 6th.
No, he's not going to be spinning. He just had he said it after qualifying.
I mean,
too.
like just like Sunday drive.
He said it. He summarized it after qualifying. He's like, this just randomly happens. Like, there's nothing wrong with the car. I just didn't put it together. He said, oh, I feel confident in the long run pace or whatever, which is debatable, I guess, depending on what strategy they deploy.
Starting to feel the pressure.
I think that and I was reading this earlier in the week. Like this is a track where you need to protect the rears, and he's typically a little bit better. Well, because of his preference on oversteer versus understeer, which is Carlos's preference. Carlos is going to use the rears more, and you need to protect the rears here in all the high speed sections. So this is
I kind of want to challenge you on that too. I feel like it's a front. Is it rears?
It's front limited.
Yeah, it's front limited.
It's front limited, but you still need to protect your rears though. And I'm saying that hits right.
They give you camber out of that hairpin. It really helps with the traction.
There you go. It's just
for me. Well, I don't know.
Random point.
I'm terrible at the tires, but when I drive around the track, it's my fronts that go, not the rears.
Yeah, it's your fronts. But I'm saying you're obviously taking it. Maybe you're taking it. You're V and everything.
I'm very hard on the tires.
Yeah. We're not gonna compare you though.
We're not gonna bet based on my sim experience.
We're not gonna bet based on what you see.
Why do you have me jump in and say, "Hey, go study the track"? Let me know.
I love the feedback. I just don't think that you and Carlos Sainz and Charles are seeing it the same way. That's my point.
Me and Charles definitely aren't seeing it the same way because when I'm out there, I'm out there trying to win, like Carlos Sainz.
You're always trying to beat him.
All right. Well, you can jot it down. I don't love it. They're too far apart.
Plus 200 is I love that. Okay, keep going.
Ocon, Gasly. Don't want to pick between the Alpines.
Hey, George and Lewis is kind of funny.
George and Lewis is interesting.
I don't know. I have no idea though. That one is a toss up because I think that Lewis actually does have the car in a window. This is going to be one of those times where, you get Lewis Hamilton, he finishes in fourth. Okay, very good.
It could be. Yeah.
Yeah. So
it could be
Lando, Oscar. Nothing. I don't see anything here that I like.
If they were closer, and we know the McLarens, they really respect qualifying position. The team order will be Lando gets the preference here. That's how I would run a team.
And he should.
I'd be so honest with my drivers. Go qualify against each other. If you qualify first, you're getting all the team orders.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not a preferred driver. It's not, hey, this is our driver 1, driver 2. It's who qualified ahead. We're going to try and get you to finish ahead. That's how I would run a team. Nobody does that.
I completely agree. Well, it seems like Stella does do that though, right? Like to give him his kudos. Like he seems to be the guy who just says, if you qualify ahead and you have track position, then you're going to get the preferred strategy. Even sometimes it seems like they make that decision when it's debatable as to who they should be really giving the preferred strategy to. Yeah. It's been pretty black and white, it seems like, over the first 3 races, but either way. Group. Let's go group. Can we look at groups?
Yeah, there's nothing else here. Just finish this off. Yeah. Yuki, Danny, no. Valtteri, no. Hulk, okay, no. Let's get to the groups for you. Group betting. Group 1, Max Verstappen. Okay. Group 2.
Oscar at plus 250.
Love Oscar at plus 250. Does he start ahead of all these people? Alonso.
Yes.
But
no,
he's behind Alonso, but Alonso has the worst odds, which I love that they're supporting that. Yeah, dude. So
I think he's on the preferred strategy. So him and Lewis would be on the preferred strategies. This is like I said. Are you concerned about Lewis? Blah 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 blah. We at least know that the McLaren, they have a track record of performing here well. We have no idea what Mercedes is going to do. So that uncertainty obviously is not. I don't think that uncertainty is worth 100 points. I think it's worth more than that. So I love the plus 250 for Oscar. Leclerc being on the medium strategy theoretically is not as comfortable for me as Oscar. Man, that's really like good value.
I'm trying, you can see me. I'm thinking, why should I not like this so much?
Stroking your beard. The reason you shouldn't like it is because have we seen enough from Oscar from a tire management perspective? That's my concern.
This year.
Right?
This year.
But in Bahrain.
3 races.
No,
all 3 races he's been fine with his tires.
Yeah, he did. He dealt with the graining.
He's been fine. He's not losing positions because he's struggling with tires.
It's different than thermal deck, though, right? Like he hasn't really come across. That's more. It's even Bahrain is a little bit different too because it's so abrasive.
Where did he finish here last year? He started P3. 3. I should have had it. He finished 3.
Yeah, he finished 3. Yeah.
With more deck.
Yeah. Maybe don't overthink it. Okay. I mean I love that plus 250, dude. I love that. That's pretty meaty.
That's
Like,
pretty
so again, if
meaty.
he starts ahead, like, so if Lewis gets ahead of him, whatever it is, like, I mean, that's amazing. The only person he's got to worry about is Fernando. I don't think Fernando's on the optimum strategy. I think Fernando's already admitted that he's looking behind him because, again,
He
the
wants to
car on
defend
balance,
Lewis.
yeah,
Yeah.
the car on balance tends to qualify a little bit better than it does with race pace on Sunday. He's
Hmm.
saying that. Like, that's fine.
Yeah.
That the observation's been made. And then it's like, can Leclerc come from 8? Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
That's going
Right?
to be it'll probably be a pretty good battle between Leclerc and Piastri.
Yeah, it probably will.
Because the thing is, with the McLaren and the Mercedes, put them on the exact same tires. The tires who has left. Let's assume they have the exact same strategies. I think
Yeah.
they're so equal. And I would give the little edge to McLaren, but even if there's no edge, they're so equal. We saw it in Jeddah. We saw
Yeah.
it in Australia. No, Mercs were out. In Jeddah, they hold race position. Like track position
Yeah.
between the McLaren
Yeah.
and the Merc matters. And we have them starting ahead.
Really, I like this bet.
Are we just all plus money?
Well, hey
Oscar,
man, it is what it is. I don't know. Like,
Group 2,
so
plus
okay, we're
250.
not over, like, so the reason that Leclerc is plus 100 starting in 8th is because of the perception of Ferrari. And again, we
Yes.
talked about it. This is typically, again, not a track that they've done really, really well at, and they will be better, I'm sure. But is it enough? Like, then you factor in this, they're going to try something different from a strategy perspective. That might really work well for them. But I think
For
so. You're
Ferrari.
taking a known commodity versus an unknown commodity, and you're getting the plus. So the known commodity is Oscar finished in 3rd here last year.
Yep.
McLaren, we know their car suits this high speed nature of the
When
track.
McLaren
We
designs their
know,
car, they design it on
yeah,
Suzuka.
weird, but we know that they have, theoretically, from a DEG perspective, the better tire options based on historical precedent. The
Uh-huh.
two hards. So those are knowns. Those are positives, and he has track position. So all of those positives, you would think, would work to shorten the odds, but they haven't here because of what? The perception of Ferrari. I think that's what's, because if you look at the actual data, again, Leclerc's long run pace, kind of confusing when you compare it to Mercedes and Alonso. Um, you've got the two medium. I don't know, man. I don't think that we're being naive in taking a plus 250 bet. I don't think we are, and it's our guy.
When you have both of the cars performing at their best, so take the top 2 drivers, the McLaren's ahead of the Ferrari. You got the two cars that maybe had a moment, didn't have their best lap, the McLaren's ahead of the Ferrari. I wrote it, and I'm going to put a
Yeah,
star.
I
Not a
really like
triple
that bet.
underline box like I did with the Max and Checo.
Yeah.
Okay. Group 3.
Okay.
It's probably Yuki. I don't
I
know if I
really
want to take Yuki at minus money, but this is
no.
nah.
I
Yeah, no.
would. I would. Like, I would, but I'm not going to take
But
him.
then at the very same time, Lance Stroll sneaks in and gets the 10th point here, and we don't
He
see
could.
him. And
He could.
he probably is under investigation for rubbing shoulders with Yuki. But then he'll
Yeah.
skate through and he'll finish 10th,
Yeah, I don't like it.
or he'll
I
crash
don't like
out.
it.
I don't
I don't
like it.
like Yuki. I don't like Yuki minus money. I think he's going to do it. I do. I think he will, but I don't. And I'm not even looking at the bottom,
Nah,
like right
well,
there.
it's so like I love Botas again, but
Yeah. But hey,
you
who's
can't
not in?
bet
You know
around
who's not in any group?
Logan
Guess who's
Sargent.
not just Albon. Actually, they
Oh,
don't think
Albon
Albon's going to
too.
be competitive at all.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Sargent has work to do, buddy. He's got to go backwards
Yeah,
for
he's got to get
for
past
your
Joe.
hot pick of him
He's got to get
finishing
past.
last.
This is so hard. Like, Joe's behind him, and you're like, he's
Yeah.
gonna have a 40-second pit stop or like
Yeah.
an hour pit stop. I don't know.
That was my
Fuck, man.
response. I was like, I love
I
you.
know.
I love where your head's at, but
I know.
you
I
don't
know.
know how long Sauber's
Go
going to be in the
look.
pits.
Go look at last classified finisher right now. Just
Okay, let's see.
give me a live odds
Oh,
update
actually,
on the
let's look
boys.
at both our
Yeah.
hot picks update.
Yeah. Here we go. Both cars top
Um,
6 was yours, right?
yeah, I'll go right
Classified
there
last
after.
finisher. No.
Oh no,
He's
Mike!
even odds. He's even odds
Oh
with show.
no!
I still got him a value. I still got him a
Oh
tremendous
no!
value though,
You
chaps.
have
I got him a
tremendous value.
tremendous value.
You have tremendous
So
value. Okay, show me tremendous value. Oscar starts in 6.
right?
This
Yeah.
should be tremendous value.
You should be feeling tremendous value right
Oh my god, I could have got it better
No.
now. They
Yeah,
both.
maybe we just do we just take this bet? What?
Well, yeah, well, okay, I mean that's
It's a two
something
car bet.
interesting to consider. We're already on it with the hot pick for small
No, I
money at
would.
worse odds.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I would take the. I'm not taking two cars top six. I'm taking the matchup. I'm not taking this.
You
I would
you,
take the
you like
matchup.
the McLaren over Ferrari?
I would try to shoot for Lando to finish ahead of Carlos, and then
Yeah.
you have
Well,
Oscar
what's
mixing it in there. Minus
we're
175.
jumping around now, but we're at the part of the show. What's Lando to to finish third? I was gonna look at
Yeah,
Podium, but it's to
yeah.
finish third.
Lando to finish third
220.
plus 220. Yo, that's interesting.
Is that effectively McLaren versus Ferrari?
It is. Well, that's this bet, right? Because it's not Alonso or Piastri or Hamilton. That's a really good bet.
Let
That's
me
a
see Podium
sharp
in
bet,
case
dude.
okay, Checo comes out, right? So but we still like Lando up there. Minus 120. Okay. The exact P3. It's only if something happens with Checo.
Yeah, but so if we take the Red Bull 1-2, then we should be taking this bet. That's the covering off that we need to do, right? Is that not it?
On the
Unless we look for a
podium,
combo podium.
not
Yeah,
exact
we take
three.
no, we take we if we're gonna take the Red Bull bet,
Then we have to go
just in
podium.
case, we have to go podium,
Right. If we're not on the
right?
Red Bull bet, then maybe you try to snag the P3.
I
But
think I
like
think I think
minus
we're gonna
120
be
is
on the.
not
I
bad.
think no, I would take that. I would mark that down. Mark that
So we
down.
have Oscar to win his group, Lando to be on the podium, and then Red Bull 1-2.
Keep going, Aaron. We're finding okay. I'm feeling more and more comfortable with this.
Let me throw a hesitation on the table just so we talk about it. We get it out in the air. I came into
Yeah.
this week with the algorithm, which is in development still, but everything was telling me McLaren's going to be great here this week.
Yeah.
Are we justifying our preconceived notion of McLaren being good here?
So I don't know
Or did
why.
Lando put it P3 on the grid and they are good and we should just trust it because that's what we were
Yeah,
expecting and just roll with it?
yeah. I don't. This goes back to that debate between McLaren and Ferrari. It's just like McLaren is throwing. The only thing that they didn't do, which would be making me feel a lot more comfortable, is put down like do some long runs in at
Right.
the early part of FP3, so that we had some comparables over like a 10 to 15 lap stint. And they didn't do it. And I would argue that I think that that's maybe more working out to our advantage because what probably would have happened is that they would have run the mediums and they would have ended up with similar times to the rest of the group there. And
Uh-huh.
then you end up with the same spread on odds, right? So or maybe it becomes shorter on McLaren because it looks like they're just going to be competitive. I don't know. I don't or maybe they have really good long run pace and it shortens the odds for us here. So
I've
we would
got
have been losing value.
I don't know where he gets it from. Shout out to at F1 Big Data on Twitter and
Oh
X
yeah.
because I love
He's
this
a
guy.
sick guy.
Holiness is the name that he goes by.
Yeah,
He's got
he's sick.
race pace simulation for this race, and he does have McLaren ahead of the
Yeah.
Ferrari.
Now he does. You have to keep in mind, like he does that. He does that like at the beginning of the week.
Well, he
He's
just
not
tweeted
taking any
no. This
practice
was
sessions into.
I think no.
Yeah,
I
he
think
does.
it's practice session.
No, I don't think so.
No,
No,
you're right.
I
This
think
was April 1st. Yeah, it's pinned.
he does it like right away.
Yeah,
And
you're right.
that's.
You're right. You're right.
I would imagine that a lot of that is based on. He's not factoring in upgrades. That a lot of that's based on probably the past perform. Well, obviously it's past performance of the races, and
Well,
then
this is why we're
factoring
developing
in
our own.
Suzuka from
Yeah.
last year. Yeah. So, but no, then like respect to people who do this. Like that's an awesome thing to have.
Yep.
What I think it confirms is yes, like this is a track in which McLaren is probably going to perform well at because we have seen them do it,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where the knowns become, I think, really valuable for us, right? The
We saw
knowns
them do
versus the
it
unknowns.
for the most part in this spec of car. Like
Yeah.
McLaren hasn't really changed their car very much since the last Japanese Grand Prix.
No. Well, and their relative pace of the field is changing because of the changes that Ferrari's made and the fact that the car is more competitive and way better on managing its tires, and that makes this battle between them a real battle, right?
Right.
But we're settling more on McLaren because we know that they perform well here historically. Ferrari not as much historically, and we think that they have track position and
And they have the tire
maybe a better
advantage.
strategy, maybe
Right.
a better. So like I'm not like if Ferrari goes out there and just finishes 3 or 4, I don't know. Am I going to beat myself up about it? I don't think so. Like I don't. Maybe we would be wrong on it, but I would much rather be taking McLaren at the odds that we're getting
Right.
and then be wrong. That's okay. You know what I mean? Like it's not like we're taking them at like minus 200, minus
No, because it's value.
250, and then losing the bet, right?
Remember Spa 2023? Ooh,
Yeah,
we were on like
remember
minus
Spa.
350s. Oh my
Remember
goodness.
Spa 2023. Always
In
remember.
that, I know they're not calling for rain, but who knows? Right? Like who knows?
I
We're
mean, no,
making all
it's
these bets based on dry,
yeah.
20 degrees Celsius. If it rains, everything favors the McLaren
I agree.
over
That
the
I agree with
Ferrari.
too. Yeah,
Like if we get
more.
some sort of crazy weather pattern, that all
I agree
helps
with
the
that. Yeah,
McLarens
I do. I agree with that.
and the Mercedes,
Definitely.
unfortunately. But we're not really against the
Okay.
Mercedes other than a lot or Piastri over Hamilton.
Yeah. Okay. Now we got to
If
start.
we have that
Now
grid.
we should really. Now we got to like dig. Like let's just look. Go like through the
Okay.
book. So podium finish. We're like rip right through podium finish.
I
Let's go
mean,
back to the
Carlos was
top
plus
six.
money. Okay.
Yeah.
Single drivers. Okay.
Well, top two. What's top two?
Yeah,
Top two finish.
we looked at the 1-2. Checo at minus 150. I think we just go plus 120 on exact 1-2.
I agree. Like you're not going to just take him to get like, because what are you doing? He beats Max. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So to finish third, we looked at top six. You want to go look at top six
Let's
finish
see.
individual
Let's see if
drivers
we
here
can
to
get like Leclerc at good odds or
like
something.
something in that range. Minus 150 for Alonso.
Leclerc's the
No,
guy. Interesting that Oscar has worse odds than Leclerc. But we saw that
no, we know that though. That's
yeah,
reflected.
that
That makes
correlates to the
sense.
group. Yeah.
Yeah, it does. They think that, but look, that's only 25 points of difference, and in that head-to-head matchup in the
It was
group bet,
100 points.
it's 150 points.
150 points.
So that makes me feel better about the group bet, big
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
This
Yeah.
is the problem with top six. Like you go all the way down to
It's never. It's actually. I think it's the worst prop group that exists. Like there isn't value in it.
right.
There never has been.
Points is also a very bad prop group.
Points is horrible
But
too.
let's
Let's
look
take a
at
look
it.
though.
Let's
We'll
look
look at
how
it.
bad it is.
Yeah, let's see how bad. Minus 200, minus 120 for
Stroll.
Ricardo, minus
Stroll.
money, plus 137. No, because that's the debate that we just had. Is it Yuki at minus 200 or Stroll at plus 137?
But it
That
is
makes me
going to be
feel
Stroll.
for
Unless he
you to buy
crashes.
for you to buy Yuki at minus 150 in the group is the value there. Like, what
Right.
do you
No,
right? Like, it doesn't make
I'm not going on a points finishing position.
no, but actually, that's not a bad bet. Now that you see it all out there, minus 150 on Yuki, home race. That's interesting. Like, I'm not saying no. I'm not saying no to that.
Yuki in the points.
New floor.
New
He's just
floor
so
looks
volatile.
good.
He's just so
Yeah.
volatile. It's a problem. Like, it doesn't. So I wouldn't take that over anything else that we've talked about. But
The
it's
problem with
interesting
betting
to
on
have.
Yuki is he will be fighting on every lap. And he might pull it out, but like if I have his driver cam and I have to have that as one of the ones that I'm watching, it's going to be a constant battle and he's going to be complaining the whole time and he always sounds so
Yeah,
stressed. I don't want to sweat it out with Yuki.
it's because he is.
He is stressed.
It's because he is stressed.
Race match bets we looked at.
We looked at
Not we don't need to do everything. You hate fastest lap.
yeah.
Group betting we
What's
went
this
through.
straight track ass? What's that? Just see. What do
Let's
they
just
say?
see. They got Lando.
They got Lando in second.
Whoa!
Look at that. Yeah, I like the podium. I like that podium.
And then we still that doesn't make me hate the Checo Max 1-2
So, they have to, man, they, like us, the book is very conservative on Checo.
with Checo.
Like we are.
Yeah.
Like we are. We are very conservative on Checo too.
Okay.
Like that's
Okay. Hold
right.
on. This is getting me excited. Let's go. I'm going to skip down a little bit. Let's go combination podium.
Yeah, we
Because
haven't done that yet.
we
need
have
to
a
look.
Checo on a podium. So let's see who can we fade him with.
Yeah, we need the combination podium.
They bury this on me. It's always hard to find combination podium.
Yeah.
Very few options.
Well, that makes sense.
Okay.
Checo and Carlos is
Max
the one
and
at minus
Carlos.
275. Yeah, minus two. That would have been it, but it doesn't. It's too short.
It's too short.
Yeah.
Max and Carlos. Because if Carlos beats Lando, that's bad for Lando podium.
But if Carlos beats Lando, like Max is not coming out of the race. Is the point, right? Like there's no. They're not making that mistake again.
Yeah. That's what I was working through in my head.
I don't think it. Like yeah, could Carlos just finish P3 in this race?
He could.
I mean, absolutely, 100%.
But then we have a Rebel 1-2. Like if it goes chalk and then Carlos wins
Lando
the fight,
gets bumped. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like is Carlos getting Checo here? I mean, I don't think so. Like I don't think so. there's still too many. I think there's still too many unknowns with the Ferrari at this track. That's my concern. I don't think so though. Like
I
I do
like
think that they're
Checo's a different guy when he starts on the front row. When he starts sixth, that's where he thinks he's got to get it all done in the first lap, and he crashes.
yeah, I agree with that.
Like this could very easily just be a Red Bull. Max is 5 seconds ahead of Checo. Checo's 5 seconds ahead of Lando and Carlos because they battled for a little bit.
So yeah, I just want to refresh here. Like again, I think that you look at the long run pace and you go, huh, like and Helmut Marko and Ferrari, both groups were saying the same things about each other. Like Max and Helmut are saying, Ferrari looks pretty good on long run pace. That's kind of interesting. And I think it's more lip service. Ferrari is saying, we look pretty good compared to the Red Bull, but we have no idea what the engine mode is. And they usually do run a lower engine mode. They usually do run a little bit heavier with the fuel. So they're saying the opposite thing, saying, yeah, like we're probably not as close as everybody thinks we are. Then they go onto the track and race as fast as they can. The Red Bulls go 1 and 2, Ferrari goes 4 and 8. So then you have to think, okay, is the balance way different on the cars? Like, is Ferrari better on race pace than the Red Bull, which has just traditionally always been better on race pace than one lap pace? No.
Right.
So we don't let's not overthink it. And they
I
brought
agree.
upgrades. Red Bull brought upgrades that they've been testing and tweaking that seem to have brought the car more into Checo's. We should not overthink this.
That's why I said, as
And if
soon as we
somebody
saw that, I
beats,
was like, let's
yeah,
move on from
and
it.
if somebody
Yeah.
beats Checo, if Checo loses us another bet, then I don't know what to say, man. I mean, like he picked up damage. He picked up damage in
Then it's
the
good for the
Australia
show
race.
because he
He
just
picked up
proves
damage.
everything we
Yeah.
think about
Well,
him.
I'm just saying, I think this is he's getting shit on Max. We did not expect this, but we're getting a Red Bull bet at plus money. Max came out of the race in Australia. Checo had the damage; he couldn't go through the field.
Yeah.
And we said that's not
It's
going to matter. And then somehow here we are, and it matters.
It
Like
matters. You're right.
the book has taken it into effect.
We put out a post saying no, it's not.
Yeah,
They're not going to
it's
factor
not
in
going to
any of
matter.
that. Okay, so let's. Yeah,
Oh,
I agree. Let's take it.
what are we
For the
doing? Yeah,
record,
we got.
I'd be okay with these three, but let's
Yeah, no.
let's keep looking.
I think we're going to land on them, but
Let's keep looking. Because what are we? We're 50 minutes. Yeah, show. The show must go on.
show must go on, buddy.
Classified draw. Yeah, I don't think I want that. Finishing position.
Finishing position
Let's
is
take a
interesting.
look.
Let's see where they.
Yeah, let's
because
take a look.
it gives you some hints, right?
Yeah. So they see Carlos.
Oh, 6th place or worse. Ooh.
Whoa.
Hey, see, dude.
But also, you just get so many positions with that bet, so that inherently gets shorter odds.
Yeah, it does. But that's interesting that 5th. Yeah,
but they see it, but they have him 4th over 3rd is really what I'm looking at here.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
I like that.
which is reflected in the other odds that we've seen.
Mm-hmm.
They're giving Lando a shout at second. They're giving him a shout at second.
A shout.
They think forward. They think again. This is an acknowledgement that they think the gap to Red Bull, to the second Red Bull, is smaller than the gap to the Ferrari behind.
Yes, I see the same thing. Okay,
right.
Max is going to finish where he finishes. Checo, I wish they could say money. 3rd or worse, and just yeah.
But this is perfect though. A minus money bet
for him to be 2nd. Yeah. Okay.
Right.
All right. Finishing position.
That didn't confuse us in any way. That actually just solidified what we think we're seeing. I don't know, man. I think we might come out of this again. Who knows what's going to happen in the race? But we could come out of this with a lot of value on things that I think are going to happen. Like I wouldn't.
Right.
It wouldn't have been crazy to look at what I think is going to be this 3-slip bet and have them all with minuses beside them. We might come out of this with pluses beside all of them. Podium.
Lando
Podium minus 120. Almost an even odds bet.
Right. He starts 3rd on a track that suits them. That he finished 2nd.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know.
Because Carlos Sainz won the race. It's literally we finished in our recap show. Carlos won a race. That's amazing for us moving forward. Max finally DNF'd. Amazing for us moving forward. Checo gets Alonso's tear off under his floor that I don't know. Like I'm not sure Vegas is factoring that in. They're looking at Checo saying, "Oh, he couldn't get through the field." No, he took damage.
It happened. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know, man.
But let's not.
I didn't like winning margin.
No, you don't like winning margin.
No,
Leader after lap number. We're already on the Red Bulls. Grand
I don't see
Slam.
it.
Straight forecast. We already have so much on the top. Well,
Trying to see
hold
if
on.
anybody wrote
It'd be stupid
anything.
to not look. Combination. Excuse me. There's no reason to do this. Like the beauty of having Lando alone on the podium is it does protect around one of the Red Bulls coming out. So there's no
Yeah,
point in taking
100%.
them in a combo.
These guys wrote.
I can't believe that the McLarens are such good value at both cars top 6. That's
Yeah.
crazy. I texted you. I'm like, I'm taking this value now. Oh my god. I should stop doing hot picks. This isn't a hot pick show. I'll talk about it on the recap.
Just win it. Just win your fucking bet. Because I'm going to be destroying you after Logan finishes last. Like
I know.
he's gonna finish. He's gonna finish it last, dude. He is.
Oh my god. The best thing for you is that he crashed already.
I know, it's amazing. It could not have worked out better for me.
And Albon's also struggling with balance in the car. So there's
No.
no pressure where it's like, wow, Alex feels great. What's wrong with you,
Yeah.
Logan? They both
No.
reported the same rear end instability. So now it's just, hey guys, get it home. Not a track, not our weekend. Just
No.
please,
Don't.
no more damage.
Please, both of you don't wreck the car. So, man, honestly, the only thing that could stop me, and you can see it based on the odds, is a Zhou
As a
50-second
Zhou,
pit stop.
yes.
That's it, which is 100% possible. Like, it's so possible.
They're saying
it's
Boca
likely.
said we're it's not fixed. It won't be fixed until earliest in China.
No, did you see my point though when I texted
The
it to you
cooler
was
temperatures or something.
I'm just gonna
help
hope
the
it's
bolt.
so that the whole issue apparently is like the literal like the metallurgy of the wheel nuts and the fact that they didn't properly simulate like the actual in race
They
conditions
made them like
and
too soft or
heating
something.
them. Yeah, right. The heating is the problem because it heats the nuts and they become too soft, like you said. So colder temps, maybe. Dude, I've got a reason behind it at least. I've got rationale. It doesn't mean that I'm going to win, but I've got rationale. Hey, and I got us like
No,
what
you're in a good spot.
300 points of value.
That's what's
Yeah.
bothering me is you've
Yeah.
gained so much value. I have my cards starting in the top 6 and I've
It's
lost
hilarious.
value.
And you've lost value. That's fucking so funny.
Crazy.
I love that. I love that.
Hi. Okay. Enough about your fucking hot picks, dude.
Yeah.
Both cars podium. No. Both cars points. I don't know. Let's just see. Well, there's runoff here. It's not a street track. I mean, Aston's really the only value. Merc. Do you like minus 188 for both Mercs in the points? I don't think our slip needs it.
No, I actually, I don't think that I'm not going to take a 2-card bet outside of the Red Bull.
I just so wholeheartedly disagree with you there. And I've let you get it. Like you've won me over on the street tracks.
Yeah.
But this, I won't take a 2-card bet. I don't like it, Mike.
Well, if you can
I don't
find,
like it.
I'm not saying no. Hold on. They're just the lowest on my priority list. Is my point. Like I won't take them
Okay.
at street tracks.
All right.
But you have to really prove to me. So you're going to give me the shortest odds that we've seen so far. We like three bets, I guess.
No, you have to go off. I'm not saying we do it. I just the
Yeah.
comment of I won't take a 2-card bet. That it
No,
strikes,
I won't.
It
I know.
hits me.
You hate it. Like this
I
is
hate
actually
it.
this is fundamentally we just argue about two things. Who's better, Leclerc or Sainz? And you're an
Yeah.
idiot. It's obviously Leclerc. And
I don't
should we
think you
take
can
2-card
say
bets?
that.
Yeah. No, I can. That plus 200 is going to look like Leclerc's going to finish ahead of him.
No, he's not.
Yes, he is. He's going to finish ahead of him. He will finish ahead of him here.
Then that hurts our Oscar bet. Don't be cheering for Leclerc. We're against Leclerc now.
No, I think Carlos is going backwards. That's fine. I think it's good for the Lando bet. It's fine.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I think everything else is like
how
most
we
teams gonna
do
be
this.
Red Bull.
Yeah. How we do this is going to be interesting.
With the money.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
We
don't.
have a lot of
We're off
eggs.
the third.
We have a lot of eggs. We have a lot of eggs in one basket here. Like one basket. You know what I mean? Like that's my only concern here. The one basket being the Red Bull Mercedes or the Red Bull McLaren basket, which is which I think is the right basket to be in. I really do. Like we talked about it. I do think it's the right basket to be in, but we do have a lot of eggs in that basket, so we have to be
We do.
right. I'm not seeing anything like outside
No,
of the
me neither.
Yuki getting the group, like winning that group. I had to Lance Stroll, the minus 150 on him. That's the only thing. That's the only thing that looked better to me when we went through the book there, because we saw
Yeah.
he's minus 200 to finish in the points, and Lance Stroll is still like a ways away from him. So this is Yuki finishing. They could finish outside the points as long as he finishes ahead of Lance Stroll. He wins his bet.
Hmm.
That's the only other one I would consider as like breaking up that sort of monopoly of McLaren Red Bull. But I don't want to change. I like three bets. Like I don't want
I
to
like
take
three
a
bets
fourth bet. I don't want to do that.
or the Merc over the Aston. We had that written down.
I
I don't love it though.
I like it, but I don't love it. Right? I
The only
like it,
thing
but I
that's
don't love it.
making me like it is your comment on the basket. Like we are very much we have
Yeah. So
both Red Bulls and both McLarens.
yeah. So I like here's it. I like that. I like that bet. I like the Yuki bet. I love the red. So this is you have to keep in mind like it's not just the prop; it's the value that you're getting the prop at. So when you combine, when you
Right.
go right, if when you go prop times value, I love Oscar at plus 250. Right, like I love that. I love him at plus
Yep.
250. Does that mean it's a bang on that he's going to win? No, of course not.
No, because it's plus two
I
fifty.
love I love Red Bull straight forecast 1-2 at plus 120. That's crazy. Right?
Crazy
Like that's a
amounts.
crazy number to get. They're starting 1-2.
They
Like
start
that's
1-2.
insane. It
Yeah.
makes no sense.
Yeah.
So that's crazy. I think like we would be crazy not to take those bets. I love the Lando bet. I don't love the prop. Like super I'm not gonna say I don't love the prop. I like the prop, but I
Just
love
in
minus
general,
one.
like picking a
How
podium
about this?
finish.
I like I like the prop and I like the value. And I love the covering off. Right? That's the
Right.
element there that I love. And
Right.
that's where we have to be careful about what we're putting on each of these bets.
Well, the beauty
So
is
that makes me
we do
I
have
feel
plus
good.
money on this slip. I think these are
I
the
do.
three. I think we
I
start
feel
talking
good.
about
Yeah.
money.
Oh, okay. I feel good. And so traditionally, we've been doing like it's hard not to do this, but we've been running the 3-3-3. I think this
But we
time we
didn't
should
sweep the
mix it up.
board. We didn't sweep the board in
Yeah.
Australia. We were doing it because we kept sweeping the
Yeah.
board.
I know. So I think we
I think
need
we got to
to.
think a little more critically here to make sure we cover off.
Yeah. That I agree with.
Like
Let
the
me plug them
reality
in.
is, the Lando should cover whatever we put on Max and Checo
Yes. Then
because
it's
that
hard
is the
because
hedge.
yeah, it's hard because then that Oscar. Yeah. So you're dealing with like
But the Oscar, you get plus 250.
yeah. So you're dealing with probably $200 on that, right? Like you're not. We're not going to get crazy with that.
If you
We're not going to get
go,
crazy with that, or are we going to get crazy with that?
what if you go 250?
Okay, let me hold on. Let me. I'm going to plug these in.
Yeah,
So
start plugging them in.
podium finish is Lando minus 120.
It doesn't let me unless I sign in, right? Yeah, I'm not signing in for the show. Oh, there's my
I'm doing
account.
it. I'm doing it. I'm doing it right now.
That's not even my real account, people.
It's a fake account. This is like I don't know, man. I love the value that we're getting. I didn't think that this was going to be the case. I thought we were going to be really, really like battling for
Struggling.
value here,
Yeah.
right?
Because the book they should be way safer with how mixed up this top eight is.
I
Like
agree.
everything should be
I'm
minus
kind
money
of
because they,
confused by this. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
we've seen that though. We've gone on and been like, what the fuck are we like? How are we going to get
right.
value out of this?
And
So
that's where the team matchups, we just end up going with a 2v1 where you get minus 250 and it's like, well, at least we got the two cars up there, typically in the past.
yeah. Okay, so I mean, if you put so a plus 250, a $200 bet on Oscar wins 700. That's kind of like
That's
then you're
actually pretty
dealing with
good.
$800 of value. So you're got I'm thinking like 500, 300 maybe because at 300,
500 at minus 120, that'll win 400. And then that covers losing 300 on the other.
that's what I'm thinking. Like
Did I do
you
that math in my
lose
head?
very close. Yeah. My I guess my point is 500 on Lando almost gets your money back. Like 500 just straight up if Lando finishes on the podium. So let's say something happens to Max or Checo,
Right.
then Lando
And
inherits the podium.
and Oscar loses, we walk out of here, we lose like $80.
Yeah, exactly. Then if Oscar doesn't get out of that group, if Oscar doesn't get out of that group, then Lando's a bit under pressure, but it doesn't, not necessarily, because Carlos is not in that. Um, if Max and Checo finish 1-2, and that's the only bet we win 660, which
Hmm.
might not be enough of a return on that bet, right?
Right.
Is it 350 and 450?
450 times 1.2. So then we're 990. If Red Bull 1-2 is so if we're like dead wrong on McLaren.
If we're dead wrong on McLaren at 350, we win 770 total, which means we're leaving with a 250, like pretty well 200. We're getting 3/4 of our money back.
No, what
just
about
for a Red Bull 1-2?
450 on the Red Bull.
450 on the Red Bull.
550 on Lando.
We can't do that.
No. Oh, right.
Well, that's if we bet. We don't have to bet $200 on Oscar. Like, do we want to soften the Oscar a little bit? It doesn't have to be $200. That's a massive amount.
It's a big payout. Like 150 times 2.5.
150 for 525.
And that's 525.
So now we're dealing with 850. What do you want to strengthen at? So right now we're dealing with, I have $50 to play with. I have 450 for Lando for a return of 825. I have 350 on the Red Bull 1-2 for a return of 770. Are we trying to
Red Bull
cover these two off?
I feel most confident about Red Bull.
So then let's put the 400. Yeah, so it's okay. So then that kind of does make Lando's 825 return, Red Bull's 880 return. So you're just kind of like, that's like a straight cover pretty well, right?
Okay, yeah.
450, 400, and then the Oscar is more like the icing on the cherry on top at a 525 return. Like if you were to hit Lando, if we just get what we think the top 3 is going to be, we're winning like $1,700. So that's a $700 profit, just not including the Oscar bet, which is just and then hanging around out there.
Yeah,
and we're cheering on Oscar to win us another.
So what is it?
Well,
150 on 150 on Oscar. 450 on
Lando. 150 on Oscar, 450 on Lando, and 400 on the Red Bull. I think that might be it.
I like it.
Right? Because like then if you're just winning Lando or you're just winning Max, then it's you take it on the chin. Maybe Logan finishes in last and we win money. Right? Like you never know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And if we only win Oscar, then it's like that. Doomsday's losing everything, but only winning Oscar would be the only one that really. But if we win Oscar, then inherently, like the McLaren's good, so Lando should be fine.
Yeah, that's why it's a bit of a I mean, just getting him at plus 250 that's the real value. Is that like we don't have to have that be a core bet because it's plus 250.
Right.
That's what I like sprinkling a little bit on it and just fighting with the
Doomsday
dealing with the podium.
Carlos finishes P2. Max, Carlos, Checo. But if Checo's in the race, I just don't see him not finishing P2.
Yeah. I don't know. Like we already talked about it. I'm not gonna change my mind on it at this point. You know what I mean?
Lock it in so they don't change.
Yeah. Okay.
Lando podium finish minus 120, $450. Max and Checo straight forecast 1-2 finish in that order, plus 120.
Yeah.
$400. Oscar in his group to beat Leclerc, Hamilton, Alonso, plus 250, $150.
I like it.
I love it. That's the show. We will be here after the race for a recap show to talk about how it all went down. And we will be back again in China. F1000. Like and subscribe.